thank you for tuning in to Tucson Local. My name is Kim.
I'm Rochelle.
And we are here today with Bad Voodoo Paranormal Group. And this is Steven, and this is Hector, and this is CJ. And today they're going to talk to us about what they do, how they do it, show us a bit of equipment, and then we're going to go into a ghost hunt. And you're coming with us.
I'm excited.
I'm excited. Are you excited? I'm excited.
They're nervous because we know stuff is going on here tonight, so this is going to be really something.
Yeah, we've been hearing some of the audio earlier. It's going to be pretty intense.
It's way cool. Okay.
So far, there's just 3 things that we've heard, but
In the last 20 minutes.
last one, yeah.
We heard a oh no. Ooh,
Yep.
we're coming. Okay, so Steve, tell me about your group.
I started the group in 2010 after doing this for 4 or 5 visits with some friends at some places. And I decided to kind of go my own route and get my own team together because, one, I wanted people that I can trust to go in people's houses or businesses that I know very well, so I decided to get some friends together. Once I started to do that, scheduling is kind of hard with everybody, so I would go out on my own for a bit and pull some people in and go out on my own. And I started to do that for a little while, and as things evolve, networks evolve, people talk about things, and next thing you know, you're doing more homes, you're doing more businesses.
How many homes do you say you've done at this point?
Well, I can't give names, but I can say it's about 12.
Yeah.
12 or 14, I have to actually count. Well, 2 of them weren't really unknowns, they were friends of ours, so I don't really count those. It was more of the practice, as you will.
So if someone thinks that their house has something or their business has something, then they could contact you. And
Correct. Yeah, they can visit our website. There's a contact page on there. Typically what transpires, the process would be they submit the information, we call them, or we send them an email. We want to know a little bit more about what they're talking about, because sometimes people get into hysteria, they see things on TV, and so our role is really to go in and to disprove first, and then to validate.
so it's very scientific, really.
For the most part, well, scientific would include, scientific method, and you can't really apply scientific method to what we do, other than in the physical realm. We can identify things as the cause, whether it's an AC unit or the pipes, things of that nature, squeaky walls, dogs, pets, cats, birds in attics, kind of a thing. Once we dispel all those as not the cause, then we kind of go into the realm of the pseudoscience. Using some of the gadgets and toys that we have, we can either document via audio, get some pictures, or just some measurements, use thermal to get heat or cold signatures.
Okay, so you all go in together, pretty much, for the most part. And what's the first thing you do? Do you take like a baseline reading first? Is that how that goes? Or what would the process involve if you came out to someone's house?
It would really depend upon the location, because everything is relevant to what they're experiencing. So let's say if Jane Smith calls and says, we're having some things moving around her house. First thing we would do is obviously we do like a pre-walkthrough. Mm-hmm. We want to know what the location looks like, what the environment is. Mm-hmm. Walking into someone's home, that may not be the most safest place, because you never know what the environment is in there. Mm-hmm. We don't know if it's a meth house, we don't know anything. So we kind of pre-screen it, we walk around the property first, get a good idea what's going on. Then we'll walk through the home, just do some baseline readings with typically the EMF meters, the millimeters, just to read electricity to see if that could be the cause. Because a lot of it is paranoia, nausea, hallucinations. So that's one of the most typical causes of people thinking they're seeing things. So we do that first, and we let them know. We give them the safe readings via the Swedish studies and the standards that they've come out with, and we kind of educate them on that and have them fix those first. And once those are done, then they continue, then we can go back and revisit.
Are your readings normally, like if something is in the area, do they normally drop in temperature? Have you ever had it like increase in temperature? Because typically you always associate like the cold chills and everything, with some form of energy. But I always wondered, can it go actually the opposite direction as well?
Yes. What we understand is sometimes when spirits want to manifest, sometimes they change pressure in the room, they change temperatures. There's a theory that typically demonic usually raises temperature, and not is a lower temperature. But of course you can't you know, you
Right,
can't prove that. You know,
right.
that's your pseudoscience. So
Right.
that's really the only thing you would ever note, other than you may see a cold spot actually go through a room, or see something move on a wall that's cold, or some streak of hot going down the wall. That's really what that's for, to help you see it.
Before we started the show, we were talking about, like at my house, I see shadows going by my front door all the time. It's very constant. And you were talking to tell me about knockers and
Knockers,
how
yes.
that kind of got you all started.
So, yeah, the story, it's not really a story, it actually happened. I was in my apartment and I'm right next to the door watching TV. Someone literally rapped on my door really hard, and I kind of got really mad about it. I literally got up out of the chair and grabbed the door, opened it, and there's nobody. And I walked around and I closed the door. A few days later, I started having little things out of the corner of my eyes. I would kind of see something and I would look and watch, and I would get the weird feelings in the middle of the night. I'd wake up, feel like somebody's standing over you, and then I would get whispers in my ear. I'd get whistling in my ear. So there's a theory out there that these things are called the knockers. They knock and they won't enter your home unless you open the door. It's permission based. So that's one of the little things out
You
there.
let them in.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
I think that's sort of like years ago, I was telling you that I worked with this medium, and it was like a class I was going to. And you were talking about opening the door and letting them in, and I think that's what I was doing. And it after a while, it got to be very invasive and a little bit scary. And so I just sort of like, nope, I don't want to do this anymore. And I haven't really done it since.
Yeah.
Or very little since.
Yeah, so that kind of leads to the question, do you have to kind of prepare yourself in any way before you go into these situations, because you could be exposed to any number of things aside from squeaky walls?
Yeah, and that's a very dangerous proposition when you start getting into this, is you don't really know what you're walking into. You could walk into a home that they practice some dark arts.
Right.
And next thing you know, as you leave there, you feel sick, and you go home, you don't feel well for a week, and everything's going bad for you. There's all these auras and energies that Chinese have known about, Native Americans have known about, but science, they just doesn't want to acknowledge it unless they can feel it, touch it, or smell it.
Right.
So with that said, is I prepare mentally, is I focus, and I usually stand outside for a few minutes and try to imagine my body just going into the ground to balance my energy and come back out, and just kind of keep doing it, get a good rhythm of flow and good breathing. And then I go in, and when I go into an investigation or a ghost hunt, or we're just looking for something, just for fun, I try to envision a bubble around me where that nothing can penetrate the bubble unless I tell it, unless I let them penetrate the bubble.
Right. And how about you, Hector?
I really just go at it, and what happens, happens.
And run out the door if something scares you?
If I get scared, you're going to see this guy run.
And how about you? What do you?
I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I've had a big interest in it, so I feel protected. I mean,
Do you?
And maybe it's because of the practices that I've done in the past.
Yeah.
I kind of very similar to Steve, but I'm always mentally and spiritually prepared.
Right.
But also I go into it like with eyes wide open and excited and hoping that something happens. So I'll go off somewhere by myself, which
Yeah.
is not typically what we like to do.
See, I wish we had the camera rolling when you came in with, like, you were all excited. You got something. I wish because you were just grinning from ear to ear like a little kid in the candy shop, bouncing
Oh,
up
yeah,
and down.
It's crazy, yeah. Once you've never heard an EVP before, it takes a little trained ear to filter out what people are saying versus what is in the background or the whisper. It's a subtle whispers, or it's there's different classifications, but some are loud and some are whispers, and it's open to interpretation. And your mind wants to hear one thing versus what it could have said, and your mind just gets going and going.
Right.
Sometimes you don't get anything, and
Right.
expectations are lost after that.
Right. And sometimes you get a growl and there's no misinterpreting that.
Yeah, or a crazy photo.
Yeah.
Which is on their Facebook and on their website, and are on Facebook too. It's on there. You need to look at it. It's
Crazy
pretty good.
picture.
It's crazy.
It's
It
crazy.
is. It is. It looks like a naked ghost.
And we'll be in that room a lot.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Will we? We'll get to see a naked ghost, maybe.
Is that something left over from the burlesque show we went
I
to?
don't know. Maybe we brought it with us. I don't know.
So do you guys go to like cemeteries and things like that?
Well, I'm trying to set up a visit to a haunted cemetery in Bisbee. That is one of my goals. I want to go there. I want to see what this is going to be all about. I'm about adventure. If it's
You
going to bring
should-
adrenaline, I'm good.
Yeah.
She should be able to help you. You were in
Well,
Bisbee.
after
Yeah, I was in Bisbee.
We did I actually brought him along for the first time. We went to the Vale Children
right.
Memorial, not the memorial, the Vale Children's graveyard in Vale. Right next to the railroad track, there's, I think, what, 50 children.
Wow.
The white crosses right in the schoolyard.
And how did that go?
We didn't get, well, we got a couple of clicks and like a rock tossed near one of the static voice recorders in the corner while we're off doing something else, but we can't prove or disprove anything off of that. It was kind of really sad at the same time to see that.
So when you go in with what? With equipment
This is
and yourselves?
Yeah, it really varies, but depending upon the size of the establishment, you have to gauge what you have versus what you can physically do, what in reality you can really do.
Okay, so this guy is what? Is he the?
Yeah, this is a millimeter. It's named after Melissa. Her father was an engineer. She had passed away, and he came up with a way to speak to her, communicate with her, and this was one of the devices he come up with. This measures electromagnetic force. Electricity gives off magnetics and fields. This is the milligauss here. It's measured in decimals, so it starts with 1 point whatever, or 0 point something, and it goes up. If you walk around a room and there's no electricity, if you walk in an empty warehouse and there's nothing, there's no power, and you start getting a read, you know there's some type of magnetic force. Something is in there, whether it's natural, man-made, or whatever. So you can eliminate it by eliminating the obvious. If there's no man-made electricity, that there's something in the room, there's some force. Typical EMF detection is 3.5 is considered safe by the Swedish and United States studies. Anything over 3.5 that you're constantly in or at or near every day by your head is considered unsafe, where you get nausea, delirium, kind of a thing. And hallucinations is one of them. So what we do is we use this, we walk around the home, and we kind of measure the EMF in the home. Usually around the outlets, the light switches, the light fixtures, the fuse box, anything that has an electricity source to it. We want to identify, even VCRs, DVD players, things like that. And it also has a temperature on here, so that allows us to know what the current temperature is and if there's a change to it. This has a record feature where it can just record the highs and the lows. And it has on the top here, this is the antenna I pulled out. So this model has an REM pod to it, and the REM pod broadcasts a little EMF field itself. And if something breaks the field, it increases in its power or its reading from left to right. As you see, it goes all the way up to red. So this will indicate something has broken the field, whether it's you accidentally or something in the environment's doing it. So this kind of helps you narrow down to an area or a specific object. This little thing here is the temperature sensor on the top. It also has, on the back, automatic temperature deviations. So if something was to change the temperature in the room dramatically, it would first turn amber, letting you know there's a temperature fluctuation trying to occur at such a rate that it's saying, hey, something's going on. And if it actually changes, it'll turn blue. Whether the temperature goes up or down dramatically by 2 or 3 degrees, it'll do it right off the bat. So that's what you have. This is the millimeter.
So this is like a device that's used by ghost hunters all
Yes.
over the world then.
Yes, this is one of the devices that does measure EMFs. There's tri-field, triple coil, double coil, single coil EMF. Those are the needles. The triple coil measures left and right, up and down, and then we go to the thermal camera. This is a FLIR. It's the FLIR i5. It's one of the lower models. This measures radiation, the amount of radiation given off by any object, and it assigns a color pattern to it. So this will help you identify a cold spot on the wall, the floor, the ceiling, or a person if someone's being touched. It takes pictures, and that's what we kind of use it for. If there's people saying it's really cold in this room, we try to figure out where and why and how it's being caused. This gives you a visual of the temperature versus just a feeling of a temperature. This is a full spectrum camera. It's basically designed to see in all the spectrums. So when you look through it, everything looks pink. This device here actually caught that image that we got in the back warehouse. And it takes video when it does do photos as well. We use video to do not only see the environment, but maybe you see movement or you see something you're not too sure what it was. But when you do it in a full spectrum with a couple amplifications here, you have a full spectrum light here, which is the different colors. It helps the full spectrum camera. Then we have an IR lamp as well. It gives it more to see a little further away than what it can really do. This one here is more of it's a high-speed camera, so to speak, because this is used by these X Games people, and it's basically a bullet camera. Let me take this attachment off here. So it's called a Contour, and it's small and has a little headband. So you stick it on your head and you turn it on. This is also full spectrum, but it doesn't have, the built-in luminification, so you have a little IR flashlight that slides on the side. And you can record with it just by hitting the button. That's all you gotta do. I'm sorry, slide it forward and it starts recording, and slide it back and it's off. It's pretty simple. It has a little microphone on the front. It stores up to 64 gig, and even more, actually. It has a laser level on it, so when it's on your head, you hit the laser level, it kind of tells you if you're crooked, and you kind of adjust it. It's pretty neat. You can put these on bicycles, you can put them on helmets, jump out of planes,
Shall we slap
trains,
that on your head?
automobiles.
Yeah.
So we put that on her head.
Finding Bigfoot has these on their racks that they have, those little backpacks they have. This is the bullet cameras that are on there, in case people want to know what that was. These are digital voice recorders, nothing more like a physician would use to do progress notes or things like that, or just memos. What they've noticed about microphones like these is they pick up audible things that you can't hear with the human ear. That's universally known. They used to pick them up on tape back in the day. Now they have it digitally, so it's easier to transfer and listen to, edit and pull off, send to people. And these are one of the highest used items in the paranormal field because you typically pick up more audio than you do pictures, ghosts, images, or thermal images, or even EMFs. This is the true tried and test. If you don't get anything with this in the night's investigation, you may get things here and there. This is a sure thing right here. You go out and buy one, places have these. They're fairly inexpensive. The next audio device, this is called a real-time EVP, electronic voice phenomena. It picks up things the human ears can't hear, just like the digital voice recorder, but this one has two different things going for it. One, it does record, but you can also set the delay of when you hear it back, and you wear your headphones with this. So you turn it on to record, and you ask a question. And you won't hear the question back for a few seconds. The reason why that is because unlike this one, you would have to stop, rewind it, play it, listen. This does it for you, so there's a delay. The other thing this has for it is a spirit box. Spirit box, or the voice box, or Frank's box, whichever you want to term it. Basically, it's just like an old radio where you turn a dial. Go station to station to station. You could do this at home if your fingers are fast enough. So this sweeps all the radio stations on the FM band fast at about 200 milliseconds per channel or per digit. Like 89.1 to 89.2 is 250 milliseconds it takes. So what this does, it broadcasts out the radios. You won't get a full channel because it's not stopping on it, it's just going through all the channels. It's been known to happen where something interrupts the sound for whatever these spirits or energies are long enough for them to say something through. And usually they say something in between the channel changes. Between 89.1 and 89.2, there's something in between that these come through on and it speaks out. And when it does say a word, by the time the word is done, this has already gone through about 6 or 7 more channels. So it's actually laying on top of a radio sweep. You have to kind of understand. We have a different one, which is a loud audible one, which we'll be using later, kind of cover that. So you can actually get words like yes, no, you get names. It's a pretty interesting device, although sometimes you do get the radio channels where they're actually speaking, you hear a part of a word, and the next channel hears another part of a word, and you kind of put those two together. Oh, I thought I heard, I don't know, plane or something. So you kind of have to use with caution with this, and note the stations that you are getting noise from actual radio versus the ends of the bands where you're not, and focus on those is a better way to do it. Or you can focus between just a couple channels. And it does a forward and reverse sweeps too, so you can go back or forward.
This is pretty technical devices you have here. You really have to learn a lot to be able to make these work properly and get any information from them.
Yeah, you have to understand what the technology is and how to use it in order to use it to your benefit. That's one of the tricks to becoming a paranormal group or even doing it on your own is understand what you have, how to use it, and how to use it for your benefit.
You know what I was really surprised is before we started taping, you were showing an app on your iPhone. And I was just like blown away. I have an iPhone. I had no idea it could do anything like that.
The normal iPhone cameras don't amplify the image. So what this little app does is let me turn this down so you can probably see it better on your, I don't know if you can see that. What it does is it takes the image that the camera is capturing, digitizes it, and amplifies it. So it adds a little white here and there and amplifies that. So it makes it look like it's true night vision. Although it's not true night vision, but what it really does is it actually can give you a really good look at a dark room. And it's a relatively cheap app too. And it works well, and it does video and it does audio. So you have video and audio with this. So that's what we have for gear. This is the this is the baseline. So I mean, to really do an investigation, all you really need is the tried and true method of just the digital voice recorder to get you started. You go to a museum, there's nobody looking, and say, is anybody here? And go back and listen to it. And you'll be surprised at what you catch sometimes. So that's your entry level, is the digital voice recorder. Of course, when you get up into investing some time and money into it, you get a little bit more devices and you kind of get some mixed results. But in the end run, sometimes it's nice for guys and some gals to have toys every now and then to goof around with. But these do come in handy in certain occasions. A lot of them do.
Are we going to use these tonight then?
Yes, we're going to use all of these.
Okay, so after you guys go in and you bring all your toys with you and you do your investigation, let's just say you find some things there.
Yes.
And then from that point on, how do you move forward with that family?
Well, first you have to set the expectation with the family or the client, what it is you're going to provide for them. Now, we don't go in to exercise anything.
Right.
There are specialists that do that, and I'm not going to go out and portray that we can exercise anything, because
Right.
it's not something that I'm trained in to do, and I won't do it.
Right.
There's people's lives and emotions that are involved, and I'm there to help validate or disprove what is happening to them. Are they actually seeing things or hearing things? I will give them that much information, and they fully understand that you're not there to remove anything. You're there to help them feel more at ease of understanding what's around them. From that point, we go through and we listen to every piece of audio, and we kind of pull out what we think we have, send it around, everybody takes a listen to it. And then if we feel it's something the family should be known about, we'll give it to them only. It's not something that we find something in somebody's house, we're going to blast it to the world.
Right.
Privacy is the utmost
Right.
concern. A lot of people don't even want to know that we're there.
Right, yeah.
And I completely agree with that. So once that occurs, we'll give them all the information that they need. If they want the files, they want everything, or the video, we'll give them what they want. We won't touch it after that. We'll leave it as it is. But as far as guidance, we can kind of give them kind of a push towards some resources that we have for Wicca or for Catholicism or Judeo-Christianity. But that's our extent involvement.
It's pretty awesome though, because you guys can come in and validate some experience that someone might think, I can't tell anybody about this.
Yes.
They'll never understand, but I swear I'm not losing my mind. And so it would bring validation, probably even closure for them to a degree, peace of mind.
Yeah. And I'll kind of give them some tips on some ways that they can handle the situations, to take ownership of your own home. Sometimes, I've had experiences with a child goof around in my house, it shut the TV off, kind of a thing, and I tell him to stop, and he stops. So it's about permission based,
Right.
and taking ownership of what's yours.
Right.
And if they don't want you there, they're going to continue to do it.
Yeah.
Do you have a theory yourself about what you think these ghosts are? I mean, are they stuck on Earth? Are they just here for a visit? Is it,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of delving into the religion of things and the belief systems. I have various ways of thinking about it, because we're energy ourselves. There's the law of thermodynamics, which states you can't destroy energy. Well, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It's already existing. It just changes form. With that said, people do have energies. When they expire, when they pass, their energies are now free to float, and they typically go to another source, whether it's for safety or for movement, or to even evolve. Some people call it the morphing, or the changing from like caterpillar to butterfly kind of a thing. You're just evolving yourself, metamorphosis. That's how I kind of view it. The Sumerians even said the soul, the body is just a vessel for the soul. Once it's gone, it's going somewhere else.
It really makes you wonder, with the whole world for a spirit to explore and so many dimensions and everything else,
To focus on a little
why
room.
focus on house and doing the
Right.
same thing over again. What's
Right.
wrong with, is it like a sick spirit? Is that what it's about? It's just a sick spirit?
Or,
I'm not even gonna get into the parapsychology of it. I really don't even.
that's another show. Because that's the good bit too.
Yeah.
That's another show.
Well, mentioned before, he'd mentioned before about imprinting of energy.
Right.
So if you're talking about
Right.
things that are replaying over and over again, sometimes people think of that as being a ghost or a haunting when it's actually just energy imprinted that
Right.
keeps playing over and over at the same time, over and over again.
So it's not even a spirit that's thinking or anything else, it's just,
Going through
It
the
may not
motions.
even be that. There's so many theories where, we have magnetics of the earth, you've got ley lines, you have, the Devil's Triangle, you've got the Bermuda Triangle. It's all energies based. And some people believe that when these energies go across, it records what was happening. And it just kind of plays it back through the energy of the earth. Not necessarily it's an actual spirit. It could just be a repeat of something that happened in the past. The gunfire, Gettysburg, the cannons going off, things like that. It's just recurring, but it's not an actual spirit.
Does anybody have like an assigned job?
Some people feel comfortable doing certain roles. There are certain skill sets people have.
Right.
I don't mind performing any of the roles. Hector prefers doing camera work. CJ prefers doing EVP kind of work. I like more the scientific mind. I kind of walk around and look at readings and look at it from that perspective. So it's always good to have a devil's advocate when you do this. All right, if there's anybody in this room, we're going to try to talk to you now. We're going to talk to you on this thing on the floor. Can you come over here and talk to us? Deborah, are you here?
No,
That sounded like no.
that was a definite no.
That was definitely no, yeah.
What's so sweet?
It said Matt, didn't it?
That was a scream.
Yeah, that was a screen there.
Yeah, I thought it said come back.
Or did it come back?
It just sounded like two words. What do you want us to call you?
Matt. Hey Matt, is that you? Did you work here with Steve? I heard a yes.
Yeah, I thought I heard a yes too.
Did you know that you're dead?
What?
Yeah.
Are you mad at anybody right now?
Data from the light, collecting on something else. Was it mail?
Text. Text. Is it you?
Can you talk to CJ back there?
Deborah.
I heard what? Okay, so that wraps up tonight's show. I hope you enjoyed our interview and our ghost hunt with Bad Voodoo Paranormal. Again, if you ever need any help or you want someone to come in, you think something's going on in your home, we have a website, we've got a Facebook, we've got a Twitter, we've got our website that'll direct you to their website. So go ahead and just look us up and join us next week, same time, same place. We are showcasing Fanny Galore, burlesque dancer, hot, and studio owner. So same time, same place, signing off for Tucson Local. Thank you for joining us.
good night.
Good night.